Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Crossley. I am here from the Office of Minority Affairs. Just some housekeeping rules. If everyone can just either mute your phones or put your phones on silent, so there are no disturbances. If you do need to use your phone, please go out to the vestibule to use your phone. And we just want to come in one accord. Thank you. So I want to tell everyone good evening, thank you, and welcome to our Nassau County Black History Celebration. On behalf of our County Executive, Bruce A. Blakeman, and our collaborative offices, Office of Minority Affairs and the Office of Human Rights, the Executive Director, Lionel Chitty, and the Honorable Rodney McCray, we all thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Again, thank you so very much, everybody, for coming down. We take a look at Black History Month, but we need to remember that Black history is American history, and it is every day. So we hope you enjoy this evening's program. It is an African tradition when a group gathers that we ask our elders in the room, do we have permission to proceed with this program? Do we ask the elders in the room that can please give us permission to proceed? Senior Councilman Goosby, thank you so very much. Again, we want to make sure we give you permission. Thank you. We're going to move forward with our invocation. We're going to have Emmanuel Assay please come up.
For the respect of the word of God, let us be expected to rise in your feet. Thank you. We are gathered here in this place this evening. Allow your spirit fill our very being. Father, we thank you for every seat that has been filled here today, for each mind and heart that fills the presence of this room. We thank you. We celebrate Black History Month as a way to remind us of where we have been as a society and to give us the courage to move forward. We thank you for the significance of this month. We lift up and thank you for our Black brothers and sisters who have shaped history. This month, we celebrate Black history and honor the culture of our brothers and sisters. We remember the legacy of those who came before us, who not only paved the way, but carried the bricks and broken backs that then build the road. We remember the songs, the stories that uphold men and little girls, granny, midwives, and marvelous musicians. Those who are torn brown, black, as night fell like the sand of Egypt. We are kings and queens. We are descendants of royalty. May we honor the rich legacy of our African American family and faith. In your name we pray, amen. Thank you.
Please remain standing. I'd like to ask our Charlemagne's Woodside Desiree to please come forward for a pledge.
And we'll recite the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. The Droysetta and Julius Pierce African American Museum is located at 110 North Franklin Avenue in Hempstead. Black history is there all year long.
Black history is American history. Black investors changed the way we live through their brilliant innovations. Thomas L. Jennings is an inventor, and we have an exhibit at the museum on him. The video slideshow created by Pitchidist Media will highlight several Black inventors, including Mr. Jennings, to the Black National Anthem. Lift every voice and sing. At this time, we'll have the playing of the video.
Moving right along, at this point I'd like to ask Deputy County Executive Ms. Moore to please come forward and give us a few welcoming remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. To our Chief Deputy County Executive, Arthur Walsh, who has joined us today, our Legislator Steve Rhodes, our Legislator Carrie Salage, to the Director of Human Rights Commission, Mr. Rodney McCray, and to our Executive Director, Mr. Lionel Chitty, to our Senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby, to our honorees, to our distinguished guests and members of the community. Welcome to the annual Black History Month celebration. Tonight we pause, recognizing that 28 days are just simply not enough to acknowledge the contributions of African Americans. This evening, our County Executive, Bruce Blakeman, was unable to remain for the program, but he did meet with the honorees a little earlier. And so on behalf of our County Executive, we join with the residents of Nassau County and fellow Americans of all races and faith communities in celebrating Black History Month. Black History Month is an annual celebration where we pause to celebrate the notable achievements as well as the sacrifices made by African Americans who have contributed to the building of this great nation. Black History Month is rooted in American history. And although February is the designated month to celebrate and highlight their past as well as their present contributions, their rich cultural heritage, their struggles, as well as their triumphs, as well as their fight for freedom, we acknowledge the ongoing beautiful story of a strong and resilient people and recognize their central role in not only American history, but Greater Long Island. And so tonight, we also pause to celebrate all of the sheroes and the heroes that are among us. This is Black excellence in its finest. Congratulations to all of the honorees. Truly, all of you are shining examples for our future generations to come. So enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy County Executive Board. That was truly inspiring. Next, I'd like to ask Rodney McCray, our Executive Director for the Human Rights Commission, to come up.
Good evening. It's a pleasure. I wish you can see what I see right now. All these seats filled of us celebrating us. So give yourselves a hand. Again, my name is Rodney McCray. I'm the Executive Director for Nassau County Commission on Human Rights. I want to extend a heartfelt welcome on behalf of the County Commission on Human Rights, on behalf of our Chairman, Bobby Colodi, and the rest of our commissioners. I'd also like to recognize the hard-working investigators from my office who work every day to make it possible for your rights to be protected. So if they are here, could you please stand and let them see it? I'd also like to recognize our commissioners who are very instrumental in what we do day to day. So if our commissioners are here, I know Commissioner Olegario is here. I know our first Vice Chairman, Commissioner Saeed, is here. Thank you. We at the Human Rights Commission are committed to ensuring that Nassau County residents who feel they have been discriminated against in the areas of employment, public accommodation, and housing have a place to go to file a complaint and rest assured be taken seriously and investigated to the best of our ability. It has been a pleasure to collaborating with OMA, Office of Minority Affairs, and Ms. Audrey Hatton to put this program together. My hope is that you take positive things from here today and take it back to your respective communities. Thank you, you're welcome, and enjoy the program.
Thank you, Executive Director McCray. We truly appreciate it. Again, just to go through the acknowledgments, we did have some other folks pop in. We have Legislator Harry Salanges. We have Legislator Steve Rhodes. We have David Newhoff, the CEO of Long Island Federally Qualified Health Centers. That was extremely instrumental during our battle against COVID. We also have the Honorable William B. Wise here from the Incorporated Village of Westbury. We also have Executive Director Donna Taylor from the Office of Youth Services. Our numerous commissioners, and again, congratulations to our award recipients. Thank you. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our senior Councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby. She will be giving us a talk about Black History Reflections.
Certainly, this is an evening for all of us to try to find out more about ourselves and appreciate those who have done so much for us to be here. I was looking at all of those names back there on those things, and I thought about the Gooseby case. Because of the Gooseby case, we have all of those names where before we only had 5 people who served this entire town, the entire county. So just remember that. I know people don't know, I don't talk too much about it, and tonight is not one of those nights that I am going to talk about it. What I'm going to do tonight is a little bit different. I want to thank you for inviting me to come in the first place. But I decided that we need to speak about the man who worked so hard and to make sure that we have what we have today. The African American history, the African American week that we have, supposed to be a week. It was a week, now it's a month, and it's the shortest month in the whole area. So we have the shortest month still, but we can do the best that we can with it. So hopefully we all will work together and make sure that we continue. Born December 19th, 1875 in New County, Virginia, Arthur G. Woodson. We know who he is, right? Do we? Was a fourth of 9 children born to enslaved parents. During that time, you know, we still had slavery, and his parents were slaves. But listen to him and see what he has done with the fact that he really did so much, and all of us can do this, all of our children can do it. We must make sure that we try to do our very best to help them. As an African-American boy, born in Canton, Virginia, during the time, the late 19th century in the Reconstruction era, Woodson had few opportunities to go to school, or he had few employment opportunities, which some of us still have now. We don't get employed as much as we should be, and sometimes people do not get what they deserve. His family moved to Huntington, Virginia, where he worked in a coal mine to help supplement the family income. At the age of 20, Woodson saved enough money to attend Frederick Douglass High School, one of the few black high schools in Huntington. And if many of you had the opportunity to watch Fred Burton on Channel 2, you would have seen the fact that for 50 years, blacks were not able to attend any high school in Melbourne. See, some probably don't know that, but it took a long time, so now they are there. That's why Lakeview still does not have its own high school in Hilton Melbourne. He was self-taught. Woodson self-taught himself in basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. He earned his first collegiate degree from Berea College in Berea, Kentucky in 1903. He continued his education at the University of Chicago, obtaining another bachelor's degree and a master's degree in 1908. In 1912, Woodson earned his PhD in history from Harvard University, the second black American, following W.E. Du Bois, the only person of enslaved parents to earn a PhD in the United States of America. So this young man did not have anything. His parents were slaves, and they picked cotton and all of those things that most of us know that our ancestors did. But look what he has done with himself. When he finished with that, he didn't do all of it for himself only. There was one black woman that he chose to help him. And I hope some of you know her name is Mary McLeod Blakeman. And you know that school is still there that she started for African Americans. It had a school just for them. That school is in Florida, in Daytona Beach, Florida. That's where it's located. And now it is a university. So this is something that she accomplished too on her own. The first woman, he made sure, even though he did work with all the men, but he worked with a woman to make sure that she continued. She was president of that school until she passed away. And she was also born in 1875, as Woodson was also born in 1875. So you can see there's so much we can do for ourselves if we really want to. Once I write my book, you'll see my background, and you'll see. People don't understand how I got to where I am, but it was hard. But I wanted to do it, so I did it. And anything you really want to do, you can do. I've always helped other people. I helped the children from ever. My husband and I did that. Anybody who came, when I come home from work, we work. I would work early, and he would work late, so we'd always be home with our children. And when I got home, most times he had all the kids in the neighborhood in there making hot dogs or making whatever he could do. And whenever I went out to do my voting, I would take kids with me. That's how we made sure that we got many of our people who would not vote to come and vote. By taking those kids out and letting them see. So a lot of kids, I had 35 kids who came through my office, and I'm sure I can tell you they're all doing well. They all went to college, and they all have their own businesses. So that's what we can do. You know, we have Black history. We got to remember and make sure that we help those who cannot help themselves. So he worked well with American Child with him, because you know at that time some men didn't feel that it was important that a woman learn anything, but he did, even during that time. So both of them were born in 1875. That's the thing about I think about that makes so much sense. So I think it's time, that's not that much about him, but it is something. I think it's time that we learn to appreciate those who have given so much of themselves in order for us to be where we are. So that's all I have to say.
The woman is a trailblazer, an absolute trailblazer. Just giving her a round of applause. Additional acknowledgements I've seen so many times today. I didn't want to be remiss. We have our executive director here from Asian American Affairs, Rouge Islam. And also we have Harry Motra from the town of Oyster Bay, right over there. Right here. We also have Dr. Regina Williams, Deputy Director, managing our Boost Resource Center over down at Atmore. Thank you. Music Advancement Program. They believe that playing music is an outward expression of inward joy. Ladies and gentlemen, our spring duo, Tina and Storm Allen. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. A couple of additions also to make acknowledgments. We have Commissioner Blue here. Thank you so very much for joining us today. We have Rudy Caminati, Deputy Commissioner from the Nassau County Department of Social Services. And we also have Melissa Figueroa in the back. She's a Deputy Director. She works directly with us and also the Office of Hispanic Affairs to help them out to meet our constituents' needs. Let's give them all a round of applause. We're going to have to take a quick break and move the program a little bit. Tanya?
Good evening, and thank you everyone for coming. I have the privilege of announcing the honorees to give them their citation. This person, each and every one of them that is receiving the honors tonight is very special. This particular person happened to be my previous principal, so she's very dear to me. Dr. Wilma Tootle. She is a native of Bodley, Alabama. She received a Bachelor's of Science degree from Tuskegee University, Master of Science degree from Hester University, and a professional diploma in school administration from C.W. Post in 1988. Dr. Tootle is known as a worker for humanitarian causes and devotes time to being a community advocate and servant leader through her involvement in many community projects, organizations, and board of director appointments. She is the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Long Island Chapter Incorporated, a member of the National Board of Directors, co-supervisor for the teen ministry at Bethel AME Church in Freeport, youth and education chair of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Birthday Celebration Committee, past president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, as well as a host of other community advancement organizations. Dr. Wilma Tootle, my prior principal, please come forward to receive your citation.
As you heard, Ms. Tootle has a lot of different organizations she's a part of, and she said that she had to go to a special meeting. I believe, I won't remember what organization, but we want to be respectful. It's hers. It's hers. Thank you so very much. Really, truly appreciate the little bit of a break that we had here. We appreciate you. Moving along, we're going to have a gentleman come up to give us spoken word poetry. Mr. Gregory Singer will have been up for quite some time. I think you're really, really going to enjoy this. Greg Singer, please come on up.
Of all the places we could be tonight, we decided to be together in one room, in one spirit, in one chance. My name is Gregory Singer. Honored to say that I am a poet, but also a father. My son Miles returned home from service in the Navy last week, so I wanted to acknowledge my son and his family. I have to say before I go forward, the strings that those young people played If you ever look at cells under a microscope, they dance with one another as if they feel a rhythm. Music has always been the rhythm of our souls. And to hear those beautiful, I'm going to say it, brown-skinned god and goddesses do that, almost as if the earth was speaking to us. Can I get an amen on that? And I'm not even a preacher. I get accused of that sometimes. But sometimes when you're inspired, you must say it. I also must acknowledge someone in the room that I did not know was going to be here tonight, Dr. Akil Darrisaw-Akil, who's also one of the honorees. She did not ask me to say this, but I am honored to say that I am an administrator with Uniondale Schools with every one of my sick days that I've ever earned. Why? Why would anyone want to say that? Because our children deserve you to be there. And she is now our leader in Uniondale. I must acknowledge her presence in the room. I thank you, Lionel. I thank you, Brother Munn. You didn't ask me to acknowledge him. I thank you, Brother Munn. Lionel, Munn, and myself, we've been friends for a little while, and we always speak about things. So sometimes they bring the poet out of the educator, and the educator mixes in with the poet. So tonight, Rage Sinclair Poetry presents himself. What is poetry? Poetry is self-esteem through self-definition. It is the art of defining you. When your body goes, family, when we might age one day, on our last day when we are all going to be 100 years old, your words will still matter. The words that you have shared, the I love that you have shared, the way that you have shared, make your words matter. So tonight, we'll see if the author, Rage Sinclair, also known as Gregory Singer, whether his words will matter. I dedicate this first piece to the justice that is presented through education. You see, education is a life defense. Can y'all repeat that? Education is a life defense. See, we understand self-defense with sticks and rocks and guns, but education is your life defense. When your hands are behind your back and your shoulders are too heavy, say your words, mean your words, live your words. My first piece that I'd like to perform for you is called Lady Justice. We'll see if it says so. Lady Justice, may I ask before I sleep, of a tale you told that eased my nights and ceased my constant weep. As I recall, it was a story of glory, of love, peace, and equality without color or category, of symbols and sounds that sung songs to these neophyte ears, that inspires my thoughts as well as my peers, that keeps my mind young, even as my essence gets old, that gave me insight into events yet foretold, that inspires this chin to be held parallel to the ground, as others are left to be the class jester or clown. The part that stands out most vivid to me is how education is a conduit to destiny. That when all is forsaken, from belief to religion, while we scramble for answers with death's door precision, it's what you've learned through life and lessons that may prevent your premature ascent to heaven, while believing in powers greater than our own, be it the wisdom of our elders or some patriotic drums told. The crescendo of this passage bellows of the star and the stripe as listless listeners pray that it's not mountainous hype. Hear that, toddler. For as toddlers we are taught to march in line with shoulders squared and high step fine. I thank you for your words to me. They are a soliloquy that entices my soul and sets this spirit free. As I strive to remain clear of this land's shackles and ankle cuffs, from your perch on high, help me gaze to the sky. O Queen of one world, existence, and love, Lady Justice. May you all know justice. That was the first one. I'm going to earn the next one. Because if you earn it, family, remember this. If you earn it, you keep it. If you earn it, you keep it. Please be where your feet are right now. Understand, we saw those black and white pictures before they were colored. You understand? That means the journey is still ready. Never forget that. The journey is still ready. I've asked many people along my way, how long is a generation? It's not a test tonight. Some people say it's 100 years old. I say, well, fam, if it takes you 100 years to generate a new you, that is called a miracle. My son will be 25, May 15th. I will be 56, March 2nd. I can still play in the racquetball tomorrow before breakfast. So if the power of your words can be carried in the power of your body, make your words count. Make your life count. Just make it count. I ain't asking for it. I'm probably begging for it. In your brown skin is the history of reality. Not the history of Europe and Africa, the history of it all. So if you are history, be fearless as you make history. I give you this as we speak of Black History Month. This is called In These Steps. Excuse me, please, but have you heard of a mighty time and its many words, of a polite power draped in black and white, where the astute and sensible marched with both the day and the night, for reasons known by many yet faced by few, from the water hose to the tattered clothes to the holes in the bottoms of holy shoes, amen. From Alabama's Birmingham to the cuffed, wristed, humbling explanation, yes sir, yes ma'am. The burning of churches and lynch mobs. Sundays, best on Monday. And a great grandmother's howling sobs. We the people do declare our rights as humans while bandaging our exposed fears in Mississippi's mud packs. And rusty water, ouch, that hurts. Rusty water, Detroit, do you hear me? Rusty water ice sacks, supported by a crunchless spirit and a selfless soul mighty enough to bear it. For these righteous dreams we wake every morn, as we pray that again might be born. Loving leaders, Lionel, to revive these faithless retreaters that insulate themselves in careless speculation. Age of information, careless speculation, while firmly justifying injustice in its many presentations. We will stand together as both tunnel and light, with scarred limbs, strong hearts, and eternal foresight. For it is we the children that shall lead them on each other's shoulders if need be. For I demand, we demand, it is to be demanded a stake in our destiny. And as a few might believe, I've been a little excited, and as a few might believe, this generation has slept, watched idly by as our elders have wept. Beware, y'all hear me? Beware, y'all see me? Beware. For the giant is stirring, with an educated mind prepared for soaring. We know now what needs to be done. We remember our duty on each rising sun. For with each bell that rings and the anthem that we sing brings us closer to living memories, thus to make our mark in this home of the free. Now for those strings, I have to give you one more, because I'm sitting there, and my hand could not stop moving when they were playing those strings. My body wanted to move. The feeling was dazzling. From womb to world, this boy, this girl sparked truth to lessons thought lost. For each sound of laughter, hope y'all don't mind me coming from the podium. I ain't got nothing on me. For each sound of laughter, simple, silly chatter remind us all that it was worth the cost. Through laws that bar and spacemen dancing upon floor, you see, our heroes still have names. So not of today, but of yesteryear's ways, we are undaunted, and our strengths the same. So sing upon your mountain loud, chest pressed up, strong and proud, as others wish now for your rhythms and black thing. We of the bullets and the barns, the railroads and the songs, as it is now and forever will be. Dazzling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Brother Singer. Truly appreciated and truly powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction. About a year, 3-4 months ago, I had the pleasure to be asked to be part of a selection committee for the new president of SUNY Westbury. Dr. Butson retired. Nobody told me it was going to be weeks upon weeks, meetings upon meetings, and then the final round was 4 days straight, 8 hours a day, no cell phones or anything. But we put in the hard work, and it was worth every minute. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Timothy Sams, President of SUNY Westbury.
Lionel, my punishment for all those hours was that you put me behind that brother. Wow, that's mean. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and truly I am honored and happy to be here this evening to give you some remarks. It's always a bad moment when one starts with an apology before they speak, but I'm going to do that nevertheless. I got two facets to this apology. The first is, I ain't that articulate. So don't expect me to do what that brother did, which was simply magnificent. Excellent job. Second apology is, if you know anything about my background, and why would you, my doctorate is in Africology. That makes me an African. That makes me Afrocentric. So I need to apologize that I violate one of the principles of my training, and that is anytime you speak on behalf of African people, we're trained that you wear African clothing. I left the office, didn't have an opportunity to go home and change so that I can be appropriately garbed or darned, right? to speak on behalf of African people. So I apologize for that. Ashe. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Attached to that second apology is this. There's an African proverb that says only a fool tests the depth of the water with what? 2 feet. You get it? Only a fool tests the depth of the water with 2 feet. Not having tested the depth of this water, not knowing who would be here, right? I prepared for a different message. Not the kind that I would have given to those had I known who would be here, right? And so the second facet of that second apology is, if I come back, I'll give you a different presentation next time. But at any rate, for those who know what I just said, you understand. Because I don't know if you want President Sams, right? That's one speech. But if you want Dr. Sams, that's yet another, right? You got President Sams this night, all right? As you are familiar, during Black History presentations, you're generally immersed in crash courses on the outstanding and notable accomplishment of African Americans over the past 500 years. That's what we usually do during the coldest and shortest month of the year. This is not one of those typical presentations. So I'm not going to talk about notable African Americans. I'm not going to talk about accomplishment, but rather I'd like to talk about the importance of history. The importance of history. And the reason I want to talk about the importance of history is because I'm not sure we any longer understand the function of history. I'm just not clear that we get it anymore. And certainly I can tell you from talking to my son and his friends, they could care less about history, in spite of their father. But first, allow me to thank and acknowledge our county executive, Bruce Blakeman, and Lionel Chitty, executive director, the Nassau County of Minority Affairs, and all other dignitaries, everyone in the room, all the honorees. I want to thank you for allowing me to share for a few moments. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts during this important part of our calendar year. And I want to give a special shout out, and she's left, to Miss Dorothy Gooseby, who I met a month ago when we were at the task force. And she taught, not just me, everyone in the room, a powerful lesson about what it means to speak on behalf of marginalized folks in contemporary times. Now I can go on, but I also want to thank somebody who is a board member at my college. I gotta thank Dr. Akil. As if I did not hear about it, right? Next time. So for a few moments, I want to share with you some of the thoughts on the importance of Black history to the future of Black Americans. When you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. You do not have to tell him not to stand here or go yonder. You will find his proper place. He will find his proper place and will stay in it. You do not need to send him to the back door. He will go without being told. In fact, if there is no back door, he will cut one for his special benefit. His education makes it necessary. That's Carter G. Woodson in Miseducation of the Negro. Carter G. Woodson continues. History shows that it does not matter who is in power or what revolutionary forces take over the government. Those who have not learned to do for themselves and have to depend solely on others never obtain any more rights or privileges in the end than they had in the beginning. That's Carter G. Woodson. With these two quotes from Dr. Woodson, we discovered his reason for creating Negro History Week in 1926. You see, Dr. Woodson wanted the power of history to transform the life and prospects for freedom for blacks in America. Don't lose sight of that point for a moment. I am unsure of what President Gerald Ford's motivation was when in 1976 he transitioned the nation from a week to a month. And subsequently, I'm not sure what every president to come after Ford meant when they ratified or continued to affirm Black History Month until this very day. Keep in mind, it has to be ratified by every president who comes in. I'm not sure what they meant when they chose to ratify or affirm Black History Month, but it should force one to ask the question, why history? Why is history so important? As someone concerned with the condition of Black people and their freedom from centuries of subjugation, history is crucial to the notion of agency and its sibling location, which are prerequisites for any group's freedom. You see, agency is the awareness of one's liberty and the power to manage their own future. And location is the base from which one operates and enters the world. Both are required for a person or group to be free, which should not be confused with being rich. But where is history in the conversation? One of our greatest historians helped us with this. John Henry Clark said, history is not everything, but it is a starting point. History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is a compass they use to find themselves on the map of human geography. It tells them where they are. It tells them where they are, but more importantly, who and what they must be. You see, history grants you both agency and it locates you. Thus, history is the foundation for Blacks to be free. See, this is what Woodson understood over a century ago, that history is the foundation for our freedom. Using the spirit of Woodson and Woodson's intent for Black History Week, that of using history to help free Blacks in America from subjugation, we should ask, what is so powerful and transformational about history? Or more accurately, what insights might history provide to African Americans in their ongoing search for freedom? Again, I offer up to you Dr. Clark. Dr. Clark first taught us that history is a tool used to subjugate people. That same history can be used to subjugate you. He wrote, to hold a people in oppression, you have to convince them first that they are supposed to be oppressed. History has to be used to convince Americans that facets of oppression are justified when it comes to Black Americans. Secondly, he taught us that history provides self and group esteem for a people in search of their freedom from subjugation. He wrote, to control a people, you must first control what they think about themselves and how they regard their history and their culture. And when your conqueror makes you ashamed of your culture and your history, he needs no prison walls and no chains to hold you. He then taught us that a people's history, you can tell I like Dr. Clark, right? He then taught that a people's history must function in the people's best interest and nurture their advancement. He said a people's relationship to their heritage is the same as the relationship of a child to its mother. Clark taught that history provides clarity on a people's identity. He said Africans in the United States must remember that the slave ships brought no West Indians, no Caribbeans, no Jamaicans, no Trinidadians, no Barbadians to this hemisphere. The slave ship brought only African people. And most of us took the semblance of nationality from the places where slave ships dropped us off. Then finally, he taught that a people are responsible for propagating their own history. He said, and I paraphrase, because I couldn't say what he really said, right? Because I didn't want y'all to write about me. But he said, if you expect the present day system to give history to you, you are dreaming. This we have to do for ourselves. Other groups did not go out in the world and beg people to teach their history or let them teach their own studies. Nobody else has ever done that. They taught their own history. People don't beg other people to restore their history. People do it themselves. He understood well the power and, dare I say, the centrality of history to black freedom. Thus, we find that history is the starting point for all people to improve the condition of black Americans. And I said all people. This statement applies for both black people among themselves and those who make policies that affect black people. Thus, you can't ban a people's historical analysis or discourse if you are serious about restoring their humanity and dignity. Some of you understood what I just said. If you are sincere about restoring justice, you have to start with black people's history. You must begin with their history. But for this Black History Month, we want to not only focus on black history, but also the making of history. You see, everyone, every day, wakes up and makes history. Every single person wakes up every day and makes history. Most history makers never thought of themselves as making history as much as they set out to do something important on that day. The history of Africans in America is replete with examples of ordinary people deciding to do something important on that day. Those who fled plantations, fought in wars, sought out public office, built black institutions, integrated schools and communities, created new territories of knowledge and art, and pushed for social or new social reality. They all sought to do something important that day. This is a human trait, not a hero or superhuman trait. You don't have to be a superhero to create history. But it is a very human trait to wake up and to determine that today I will do something important. Therefore, everyone in this room is potentially a history maker of great importance. I want to tell you a quick story. I'm done, wherever you are, Mr. Chitty. I want to tell you a quick story with 4 quick chapters. Chapter 1 finds this little black boy riding a school bus every day for an hour and 15 minutes, each way between home and his elementary school in order to integrate the school. As he unknowingly dealt with the psychological damage associated with moving from his black and economically challenged community to the white and solidly middle-class community, he did not know that he was making history by opening doors for those students attending the school who looked like him after him. Chapter 2, now for this black boy in a parochial high school, the same young man finds himself in the middle of a fight between black and white students. When he decided to teach his peers, his teachers, and administrators about the complexity of African Americans. Through the diocese's first ever Black History Month talent show, he didn't know that he and his peers were opening up the school to increase the number of black students in subsequent years. He just woke up to do something important that day. Chapter 3, now a leader, an undergrad, that same young black man decided that his school needed more black and brown students, more black and brown teachers and administrators, and a curriculum that honored the intellectual contributions of black and brown people. But he did not see, what he did not see was how that activism would lead to the college hiring his first African-American president, some 28 years. Now, chapter 4 has that little boy from Syracuse, New York, here today as the 6th president of SUNY Old Westbury. You see, he faced educational and economic inequality and somehow became a college president. If that's possible, we can all wake up tomorrow and decide to make history. You know, he never thought of himself as making history, but rather he maintained a commitment to try to do something important for his people every single day. I encourage you to wake up with renewed purpose and focus on this Black History Month. The past 2 years have demonstrated the need for this type of resolve if we are to address the social injustice highlighted over the past 2 years. You don't have to think of yourself as a hero or superhero. You just have to decide to wake up and to do something important. On this Black History Month, I ask that we not only focus on our history, but also resolve to make an even brighter history for Blacks in this country. As I wrap up, I do so with an ancient wisdom of Africa in the form of proverbs that seek to help us focus on how we can wake up every day doing something important. Lawe, I want to give you a Malawi proverb. Real simple. A great leader is an ordinary person with extraordinary wisdom. A Mali proverb goes, those who end up accomplishing great things pay attention to little things. And then an African proverb, no person is born great. Great people become great when others are sleeping. Let us all resolve to wake up on this Black History Month and to make an even brighter tomorrow for Blacks in this country. Asante.
Yes, you can keep it. And that's my alma mater, folks. Let's give it up for him again. Okay, next we have a dance group for us. We have Elise Nieves and Sumaya Rollins from Destiny to the Dance Studios. Please come up. They were back there practicing, folks. I saw them.
Thank you.